Hey, good afternoon, everyone. A little bit of technical difficulties to get started, but welcome to the first episode of Frederick. Did you know? I'm Dave Pard with Northrop Realty, and I'm very honored today to have Randy Thomas with USI Insurance with us today. And Randy and I are going to have some conversations that everyone, I think, might be surprised, or did you know, if you will, some information about some of the things of today's insurance world and how it pertains to your biggest asset, in many cases, your residence. Randy, thank you so much for being with me today. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and what you guys do for us.
Right. I thanks you know me. This did you know session, which I think will be great and help give out some great information to the community that will help people ensure their things that they care about. Like they saying, everyone, I'm Randy Thomas. I'm your tech savvy risk manager with USI Insurance Services, where we don't just quote insurance, but we take a strategic approach through our proprietary USI One Advantage system. We evaluate your specific properties and your lifestyles, and then we determine which coverages solutions will suit you, and we put those into place through a risk management plan.
Well, that's awesome. Randy, you had mentioned in one of our preliminary conversations, that you like to partner with protection or partner for protection. And tell me a little bit, what does that exactly mean? Say, for instance, working with myself and my clients here at Northrop.
Well, with us partnering together, for one, it's going to mean better coverage options, smarter prices, and then long-term savings for anyone who that will go through us to partner with us. Because the insurance doesn't just start right when you get the keys, but actually the analysis should begin when you choose a property, to make sure that all the protections are being put in place, and with us working on both ends, you're assuring that they're going to be in the house that they're going to choose to live in. And I'm going to make sure through analysis that we have the proper coverage that protects their lifestyle, how they want to enjoy the home. Uh,
Well, that's very interesting. It leads me to another question because I know insurance is obviously something that many of us really don't like to talk about. We don't like to spend time, reviewing things. And I know that that's kind of very important to you in some of the services that you provide. And if you could just touch base on just how important that is to constantly stay in touch with the ever changing world of insurance.
Yeah, and again, one of the ways where we're different in what I do at USI through, we use insurance as a wealth protection tool. And that's making sure that we're protecting people, their homes that they own, the cars that they drive, and any passions that they have. By doing a personal assessment, and making sure that that's something that's ongoing. Because with all of us, our lifestyles change. Things change from year to year. And you're in any products or insurance programs that you have, they should change and adjust with your lifestyle, because if they don't, it should not be a just set it and forget it. And then you're not talking to whoever your manager or agent is until there's a problem. A lot of times I find out that's where you find the biggest problems, because you're not being evaluated or assessed on how you're moving forward. And your program should do that as well.
Well, it makes me think of something that's kind of, probably a realistic challenge or conversation that probably needs to be had with most folks. And that is, over the last number of years in the real estate market, we've seen, home values, especially in Frederick County, have continued to appreciate, anywhere depending on what part of the county you're in. It could be 5 to 9%, annually. And we've seen that now for a number of consecutive years. That being said, a number of our people listening today, hopefully, will have probably secured their home, a number of years ago based on a much lower value. And now the question begs, at today's appreciated value, how does that gap get addressed by the insurance world?
Well, there are a number of ways that it can be done, and a number of ways it should be done. For one, the insurance landscape has changed so much, especially with COVID happening. Supply chains got behind, which they're still behind. So one thing that went up was construction costs has changed because with the supply line being broken, construction costs now are probably more than 20% higher, or in more cases, even higher in some places before pre-COVID. So that's one of the reasons that people are seeing that looks like insurance products are changing because now the cost to rebuild your home has changed. And that's an alarming thing, not just at the price point, just for someone who haven't had their home assessed in a number of years. Would it cost to build your house pre-COVID, rebuild from the ground up? Now that percentage could have went up by 20 to 30, sometimes 40%. And I'm finding with a lot of people that I'm doing evaluations with them who haven't had their home reevaluated in years are finding out that their home is not insured for the amount that it would cost to rebuild in a total loss. Um, and it's not, and sometimes they get confused with market value and be like, okay, well, my house says it's this or nothing, but that's not necessarily what it's going to cost to have your home rebuilt. And that's something that should be reassessed every so often to make sure that you're properly insured. Because if you're not, I'm found a client that I reassessed their home and their $1 million home wasn't even assessed. When last time it was assessed, it was about $400,000 short of what it should have been.
Oh, wow.
Now, if they had a loss at that time, the insurer could have not paid because one of the laws is that for them to make a full payment, that you have to be at least 80% insured to value, which they weren't. But because that wasn't assessed, it was something they didn't know.
Well, I think that is probably my takeaway today is probably one of the biggest things that folks need to, need to know and need to understand. It's something that they should look at. They can either reach out to their current insurance agent or certainly reach out to my good friend here, Randy, with USI Insurance, and he'll be more than glad to be able to help you take a look at your home, see what your current policy has for you there, and then see what it needs to be, if anything, to enhance it to today's replacement values. Not necessarily market values, but today's, rebuild, reconstruction, replacement costs.
Correct. Correct.
Randy, what else are you seeing in the insurance world that is a little bit different today? Some folks are coming into the market, first-time home buyers. They're going to need to get insurance, homeowners insurance on their policy, on the home, have a policy in order to close. What are some of the challenges that you see evolving from how real estate is looked at by the insurance world?
Well, there are a number of things, but I think probably the biggest thing that is going to change, that is changing, is the way they evaluate roofs now.
Okay, well that makes sense. 'Cause I think I've heard some chatter from some folks where some policies have not been able to be put in place in time for settlement, and it looks like the roof might have been the primary reason for that. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, and different insurance carriers have different statutes for how they handle these. But one of the trends that is following with most insurers now is that if the roof being over 15 years old, um, they're going to evaluate what that roof is. And sometimes if they don't like the way that the roof looks, and they'll use aerial imagery now, which is a new thing that a lot of insurers are using now. They're using aerial imagery by using drones, which can do surface imaging to see where there's sunspots, where there may be warm spots and things of that nature. So in those cases, they may recommend repairs being done, or they may just decline to insure it altogether. But it's something that clients should be aware of when they're purchasing a home. and it's not a new construction,
Mhm.
the age of that roof is going to be a big determining factor of what your insurance rate will be. So that's one of the things that we're seeing, and another thing that we're seeing is also deductibles. Um, a lot of deductibles should always follow the current construction costs and repair costs, and should align with that. Now, also should always align with your customer's equity as well. So they don't not picking one that they're not that something that they're not able to pay,
Mhm.
but bills have gone up as well. And it's a conversation I have a lot with customers, because one of the things we do at USI, we do what's called a fix approach when we look at your program. So the first thing we're doing is seeing with the effort, seeing if we need to finance your risk, to see if you're overpaid or underpaid, going through that program. And the second one is only improve your claims trends. And that's what we're speaking of now, to improve your claims trend. Um, we look at those type of things of your roof, and how we can protect that in the beginning. Looking at how we can protect you from water damage from the beginning, and then see if we need to expand your coverages, or either make sure that there are no gaps of exposures. So when taking that full approach and that holistic approach is the one way that you're going to get that with clients, you're going to get long-term savings, and you're going to be able to know that your investment of your home is protected, in case something happens back.
Well, we know that insurance is always one of those things that we don't like to talk about, think about, but the day that we need it, we're very grateful that it's there. But what you seem to, the takeaway for me today under the did you know was the fact that in many cases we might just be either have some gaps in our coverage or some exposure, or in some cases just be underinsured altogether.
Right.
And I appreciate you pointing that out. Hopefully what we'll do is we'll make some folks out there a little more aware. And then, again, Randy, with, USI, Insurance is here to help you. And he's obviously a great resource and very in tune with what's going on in the insurance markets. And I certainly encourage you to give Randy a call. And I appreciate you taking the time, Randy, to meet with us today and make us a little bit smarter. And thank you everyone for listening in to the first of what will soon be many, Frederick Did You Knows. Thank you.